Hello guys, today is April 4th. Let's continue almost 2 a.m., 2 p.m., 1:56, 4 minutes till 2 p.m. Let's continue our Christmas Carol book reading series. The Spirit touched him on the arm and pointed to his younger self, intent upon his reading. Suddenly a man in foreign garments Suddenly a man in foreign garments, wonderfully, wonderfully real and distinct to look at, stood outside the window, with an axe stuck in his belt and laden by the brio in an ass laden with wood. Why, it's Ali Baba! Scrooge exclaimed in ecstasy. It's dear old honest Ali Baba. Yes, yes, I know. One Christmas time, when yonder solitary, when yonder solitary One, one Christmas time, when yonder solitary child was left here all alone, he did come for the first time just like that. Poor boy. And Valentine, said Scrooge, and his wild brother, Orson. There they go. And what's his name? Who was put down his drawers, asleep, at the gate of Damascus. Don't you see him? And the Sultan's room turned upside down by the Genii. I think that's how it's called. There he is upon his head. Serve him right. I'm glad of it. What business had he to be married to a princess? What business had he to be married to be the pr- What business had he to be married to the princess? To hear Scrooge expending all the earnestness Johia Scrooge expending all the earnestness of his nature on such subjects in a most extraordinary voice between laughing and crying, and to see his heightened and excited face would have been a surprise to his business friends in the city indeed. There's the parrot, cried Scrooge, green body and yellow tail, with a thing like a lettuce green body and yellow tail, with a thing like a lettuce growing out of the top of his head. There he is. Poor Robin Crusoe, he called him, when he came home after sailing round the island. Poor Robin Crusoe. Where have you been, Robin Crusoe? The man thought he was dreaming, but he wasn't. It was the parrot, you know. There goes Friday, running for his life to the little creek. Halloa! Whoop! Hallo! Then, with a rapidity of transition, then, with a rapidity, then, with a rapidity of transition, then, with a rapidity of transition very foreign to his usual character, he said in pity for his former self, "Poor boy," and cried again. I wish, is Scrooge muttered, putting his hand in his pocket and looking about him after drying his eyes with his cuff. But it's too late now. What is the matter? Asked the spirit. Nothing, said Scrooge. Nothing. There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should like to have given him something. That's all. The ghost smiled thoughtfully and waved its hand, saying as it did so, "Let us see another Christmas." Scrooge's former self grew larger at the words, and the room became a little darker and more dirty. The panels shrunk, the windows cracked, fragments of plaster fell out of the ceiling, and the naked laths were shown instead. But how all this was brought about, Scrooge knew no more than you do. He only knew that it was quite correct, that everything had happened so that there he was, alone again, when all the other boys had gone home for the jolly holidays. He was not reading now, but walking up and down despairingly. Scrooge looked at the ghost. Scrooge looked at the ghost, and with a mournful shaking of his head, glanced anxiously towards the door. It opened, and then a little girl, much younger than the boy, came darting in, and putting her arms about his neck, and often kissing him, addressing him as her dear brother. I have come to bring you home, dear brother, said the child, clapping her tiny hands and bending down to laugh. To bring you home, 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 little fan, returned the boy. Yes, said the child, brimful of glee. Home, for good and all. Home, forever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be. That's home's like heaven. He spoke so gently to me one dear night when I was going to bed that I was not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home, and he said yes, you should, and sent me in a coach to bring you. And you are to be a man, said the child, opening her eyes, and are never to come back here. But first, we are to be together all the Christmas long, and have the merriest time in all the world. You are quite a woman. You are quite a woman. You are quite You are quite a woman, little fan, exclaimed the boy. She clapped her hands and laughed, and tried to touch his head, but being so little, laughed again, and stood on tiptoe to embrace him. Then she began to drag him, in her child's eagerness, towards the door, and he, nothing loth to go, accompanied her. Then she began to drag him, in her child's eagerness, towards the door, and he, nothing loth to go, accompanied her. A terrible voice in the hall cried, "Bring down Master Scrooge's box there! Bring down Master Scrooge's box there!" And in the hall appeared the schoolmaster himself, who glared on Master Scrooge with a ferocious condescension, and threw him into a dreadful state of mind by shaking hands with him. He then conveyed him and his sister into the veriest old well of shivering best parlor that ever was seen, where the maps upon the wall and the celestial and the terrestrial globes in the windows were waxy with cold. Here he produced a decanter of curiously light wine and a block of curiously heavy cake, and administered installments of those dainties to the young people, at the same time sending out a meager servant to offer a glass of something to the postboy, who answered that he thanked the gentleman. At the same time, sending out a meager servant to offer a glass of something to the postboy, who answered that he thanked the gentleman. But if it was the same tap as he had tasted before, he had rather not. Master Scrooge's trunk being by this time tied on the top of the chaise, the children bade the schoolmaster good-bye right willingly, and getting into it, drove gaily down the garden sweep, the quick wheels dashing the hoarfrost and snow off the dark leaves of the evergreens like spray. Always a delicate creature, whom a breath might have withered, said the ghost, but she had a large heart. But she had a large heart. So she had, cried Scrooge. You're right. I will not gainsay it, Spirit, God forbid. She died a woman, said the ghost, and had, as I think, children. One child, Scrooge returned. True, your nephew, yeah, the nephew. True, said the ghost, your nephew. The nephew inherited the same spirit as the mother. The same spirit the mother had. At least it looks like it. Scrooge seemed uneasy in his mind, and answered briefly, yes. Although they had but although they had but that moment left, this although they had but that moment left, the school behind them. They were now in the busy thoroughfares of a city, where shadowy passengers passed and repassed, where shadowy carts and coaches battled for the way, and all the strife and tumult of a real city war. It was made plain enough by the dressing of the shops that here too it was Christmas time again. But it was evening, and the streets were lighted up. The ghost stopped at a certain warehouse door, and asked Scrooge for as if he knew it. Know it, said Scrooge. Was I apprentice? Was I apprenticed here? Was I apprentice? Was I apprenticed? Was I apprenticed here? They went in, at sight of an old gentleman in a Welsh wig, sitting behind such a high desk that if he had been 2 inches taller, he must have knocked his head against the ceiling. Scrooge cried in great excitement. Why, it's old Fezziwig! Why, it's old Fezziwig! Fezziwig! Bless his heart, it's Fezziwig alive again! Old Fezziwig laid down his pen. So I just realized I passed the 10 minute mark. I want to start again uh, from the this from this third dream when he meets old Fezziwig. So we're gonna see you again the next time, the next episode of a Christmas Carol book reading series. Till then.